Hello everyone, back again doing a kind of an update video. A little bit of a rant, a little bit of a lot of things. I haven't gotten a video up for a while, and this one won't be up for probably several days, but anywho. So I went on a trip, and I got some tickets to a basketball game last night in Cleveland, Ohio. I happened to be driving through, and was looking to watch Cavaliers. They've been doing pretty well this year, so I figured I'd stop and see what was going on with there. They ended up losing last night. It was their 5th loss on the year, so that puts them at 33-5, leaving them with 33 losses. Got to get that in there, of course. I've got some pictures and videos and so forth. You'll probably see them later on. So before the game started, if you know anything about esotericism and numerology and all this stuff, I'm watching as they start the clock, and they have like all these numbers that equal 33, 322, 666, all this stuff. So I was like, oh, we're in for something big tonight. One of the other numbers that people never really pay attention to is 201. You'll see that all the time. If you just type in, I'm sure the algorithm will pick this up. Give me a little box on the bottom that tells the opposite. But there was an event called 201. So if you look that up and you look who's involved in that and then what happened, I believe that was the thing that they did 666 days before the lockdowns, if you catch my drift, in 2020. So I believe it was in New York City. They had a little meeting thing in 2018. And surprisingly enough to some people, I guess, if you're not aware, they had a script, more or less. They had a plan where if this were to happen, what was the, this and that. And you'd think that would, be caught up or whatnot. So I don't know. Apparently they publicized it enough where people found out, or maybe some pretty good sleuths or something were out there figuring it out. But anywho, yeah, they scripted all that out, and then they wanted to see what people would do during that time. How many rights they could, make sure that people didn't have and so forth. I'm trying to say this the best way to not get caught by algorithms and so forth. So I'm just here playing some Pokemon here, doing some trades, working on some stuff for the channels and so forth, trying to restart some games, trying to get some boxes ready, trying to figure out what I want to use against Silent Castle since he keeps dodging my battles. But anywho, we'll go back into the situation here. So 201, like I said, is the answer to that question of what that was called when they scripted out what would happen type situation. They do that all the time. They did it in Hawaii before Hawaii had their little thing. So I would always be suspicious if they ever come out and say, we're going to have an event nearby. Specifically if it's nearby. I mean, obviously you're going to pay more attention to it. That something more is coming from it. Like when Hawaii got the bad weather or whatnot a couple years ago, the fires and so forth. Conveniently, now we have fires again, which I believe I have to do a lot more research on it. Probably upload a couple people's content on that here within the next week. All that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's not surprising at all. This year, I know through numerology, California is very bad. Like, very bad for getting hit with weather. And I give credit to other people. I did not come up with that. That is something that somebody else found. For sure. You can look up Gematria Effect. He found a lot of that information. And so forth. A lot of this stuff, you can look multiple people. If they know about numerology, they probably at least know about 33, 666, 322, 201. Those are very common numbers. 11, 13. Any of those numbers, really. Anything that makes 666, 33, any of that stuff. So, you get like your 33 and your 22s. You get your 2 and your 3 is 3 2s. You get your 322 there, you get your 23, which is 33, which is the high degree of Freemasonry. You get your 9, which is 3 3s. Like, there's, 6, 63, 36, you get your 666. 18, you get 666. 27, you get your 666. It's very common. So you can imagine how many things are going down on those days. On your 3-9s, your 3-6, your 9-3s, your 6-3s, your 6-6, your, And then another thing people don't realize, 21, 22, and 23 all equal 6. You get your 2 plus 1 plus 3 is 6. So every year you've added those up, you get triple 6. So 21 plus 22 plus 23. So that's why those years had so many agendas behind them. I mean, obviously they're just, at this point, they're just doing every agenda that they can as much and as quickly as possible. And the thing is that time is their advantage, not our advantage. The people that don't want to be part of the digital currency and the social credit score and the no gas cars and the no this and that and pay this and don't have money here for that and all this scripted stuff they've been doing for, I mean, really, they've been going way hard over the last, 5 years, we'll say, at least. I mean, this is year 5 now. It's almost been 5 years since they did the first lockdown. They can re-bring that in at any time, and they can get people to do it because they've already done it. And it's like, you'd think that people would want to learn, but I don't see them learning. There's people out there that won't or don't, so that is what it is, I suppose. But that's a little bit of kind of what's going on, so to speak. So I thought it was funny that when I looked at the score, the Cavaliers are known to score a lot of points. Very much. They usually score in the hundreds. So they scored like 93 or something by the end of the game. So I was really thinking to myself, I'm like, I wonder if they got a 201 ritual out of this. And they did, absolutely. It was 108 to 93, whatever makes 201 with 93, which would make sense. So yeah, I was just kind of laughing my butt off on how scripted that game was too. The supposed best team in the East just loses to a pretty good team, but it's fairly mediocre in the sense of they're not at the top. The Cavaliers are one of the only 2 teams that has 30 wins besides the Thunder in the Western Conference, and the Cavaliers are in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, you would think that people would actually see that. I mean, I hear people sometimes, like, when they're watching the games and stuff, they'll go, oh, man, that was crazy. I can't believe that. Well, you can't believe it because it's not real. It's just not real. You just don't want to accept that it's not real if you're not understanding that. That's just the fact of life of it. I've came to my piece of it about 10, almost 15, closer to 15 years ago. 10, 15 years ago. I used to be the biggest sports fan ever. I couldn't even tell you... I can tell you some stuff that's happened, but I can't tell you, on the sports side, what's been going on with that for a few years, because I just kind of cold turkeyed it at one point. It was around 20, I don't know if it's 13 or, I want to say it was closer to 14. I've talked about this before, how they did the Saints Bounty Gate, where supposedly the coaches were paying the players to hurt the other team, and then they supposedly got suspended, and all year, also you had your lockdowns and all that script, which people don't understand what a lockdown in sports would do. There's so many businesses nearby. Like, even if you go to Cleveland and whatnot, you see how many businesses, restaurants and different things there, hotels, all that stuff is very reliant on travel and entertainment. If you don't have that, sales go down. All that. Everything goes down. Where, excuse me, I'm trying to charge my other device, but it is being a pain for some reason. I do not understand why, so please be patient with me. So, obviously, the, what do you call it? The sales go down, you hurt a lot of business. When they did a lockdown and stuff, that hurt the Canadian American border cities, like around Washington and so forth. Those border cities are completely gone. There's nothing there anymore because all the small businesses were ran out, so to speak. And I think it just stopped my trade. The screen just went dark. Yeah, it stopped it. Don't know why, but That was weird. So from there, it's just kind of the situation there. I know I've jumped around a lot. I get my opinion, I get my thought out as soon as I can. I was kicking myself in a bad place there. Kind of did. Not hard though. So, all right. You get your 201. I can tell you they did that on purpose too. They can say like, "Oh man, someone was hurt," blah blah blah. You know that these people, when they go to schools and stuff like that, they pick them to go to schools based on their secret societies and whatnot. Is a good portion of it. They get their secret societies. They get all their stuff out. Like Georgetown's a Jesuit school. I don't know all the Jesuit school. I think Marquette's a Jesuit school. Which the Jesuits are like the Vatican, the fake Christians in Rome, Italy, and whatnot. You can go to the Pope, the Black Pope. You can go to all that. And when I say Black Pope, I don't mean Pope as in like he's like African, like he has an African background. He's the Black Pope, meaning he is the hidden Pope. If you ever hear the word occult, like OCCULT in Spanish, that basically means hidden. So when you hear someone talking about the occult or the cabal or, the bagels or the secret societies and whatnot, they're one of them. They're really high up there. If they're not number one, they're 1A with the bagels over that control that land over there that start with an I, that they make bagels. They literally own the land. They were given that land in the 1940s by America. They let them have it because they've been scripting this out for 80-something years. They're the same people that did all the stuff in Germany back in the 40s and all that. If you really look at that, that's where a lot of that stuff goes. You look into, the history behind Jesuits, and you look up the history behind the bagels. Like, that's really the truth. It's really been that way. And, it's just more of the same. It's really time for people to understand what's going on. More than, they put things so small-sighted, so short-sighted. Like, oh, this thing bad happened. Well, it's Trump's fault, or it's Biden's fault, or it's Obama's fault. Those people are nothing but puppets anyways. I mean, I think I saw some people talking about how Obama and Trump were sitting there laughing together, having a good time, laughing at our expense, how, obvious of a script they're going through, where Trump supposedly was supposed to be taken out, and then he wins the presidency, and he was on trial for all these things, and then he more or less got convicted, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the word is, but they call it, they said, oh, Trump is guilty, this and that, and then they totally turn it over. Like, this stuff is so obvious that they're going to do. I'm like, I thought this was a lot more obvious of who was going to be president than the last two. I thought there was more of a chance for Biden the last time, and even Hillary, I thought, had a better chance than Kamala Harris, just because the way they were scripting things out back then. People have been wrong guessing. It's just a guess. It's their complete control of who they put into power, just another actor on screen. But I just thought it was really obvious the way Trump was coming out, and they really need the technology cities, and they need Elon Musk, and they need all these different people, and then they basically had Biden come in there, and he was just going to play the puppet role, where he's incoherent, incompetent, just like all the movies that they've showed us with the incompetent president and that sort of thing. Hot Shots, Scary Movie. I haven't seen them, but I've seen the clips of them, where the character that basically Biden's playing, he doesn't know who, I believe it was his wife or sister or something, didn't know, like, and then they do the same script on TV, and people don't connect the dots. Like, Trump's based on another character from, what is it called, The Dead Zone, I believe it's called. Kamala Harris is based on a character from Veep, V-E-E-P. The actress is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, where she just kind of says stuff, but she doesn't say anything, that makes sense, which is pretty much a political stereotype or whatever, like a cliche. So, yeah, that's really what I can say at the moment. It's not really hard to see what's going on with all that. I just was not really surprised that they did the 201 ritual with the team that has 33 wins. Um, the best team in the East, so to speak, the best record. Wasn't really much of a game either. It was just at the second half, it was the Pacers just outscored the Cavaliers like 50 something to like 30 something. Like after halftime, you knew it was just a different game. I just remember jacking up threes, jacking up threes, jacking up threes. Like they stopped moving the ball. They stopped a lot of stuff. They sat a lot of the starters. Like I was like, what's going on here? Like this is weird. And I was at the game, LeBron James' last game in Cleveland before he left the first time. And a lot of people were thinking how fake that was and whatnot. Like, I didn't understand how you could even fake a game and whatnot, but it's very easy to do. These people get paid millions of dollars, and when they come to them and say, okay, you're going to miss this many shots tonight, you're going to, hog the ball, throw bad passes, throw the ball out of bounds, like travel, double dribble, any of this stuff, it's not hard. It's not hard. These people have done this for so long, they make it easy. And then you can get like the refs involved and whatnot. You can go, oh, the refs, this and that. So then you get your agenda of, we need to get rid of refs. We need to get technology. Technology will save us. Yeah, do I even need to say any more than that? Like, technology has destroyed humanity. They use technology to destroy land and all that stuff, so to speak. They mentally have changed society in so many wrong ways. If you actually look at things, people are addicted to technology. They don't talk to each other. They don't look at each other. Everybody's experienced a situation here with that, and I can understand that for sure. And I'm not part of any of that stuff. So, yeah, mostly it was just I wanted to get out that they did a 201 ritual. Oh, I forgot some of the biggest stuff. So, Ohio State and Notre Dame, I'm fairly certain Notre Dame is in Indiana. So, that is a Jesuit school, 100% is Jesuit, which Gematria Effect even called at the beginning of the year that Notre Dame was going to be in the finals. Even after they lost a game to some random team, Northern Illinois or something like that they lost to. And he was saying how just watch them get to the finals. And I hadn't even heard about him all year, really. I hadn't heard about him recently. And saw they got to the finals, and then Ohio State got to the finals. Which, I don't know. It doesn't really seem as nearly as impressive as it used to. Like, it feels weird to me. Like, with the playoff system, you can still lose these games and still get to the finals. It's more of a NFL type of thing than it was, than it is now, where you actually lose games during in the season, and all you have to do is win your postseason games, your playoff games. So as long as you get to the playoffs, you have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Where it used to be, you had one championship game, the two best teams, and at least one, if not both, probably went undefeated. So if you lost a game, there was a lot less likely chance that you got to that championship game. Now you can lose a couple games and you're fine. You can even lose the last game of the season. That's what Ohio State did. They still made the top 5 or whatever, top 8, whatever they do. I don't know if they do a 12-team system or an 8-team system, or how they do it, but anywho, yeah. So those teams, you got your Ohio and Illinois teams playing each other in the championship, in the, what do you call it, the college football playoff, and they're playing Pacers and Cavaliers with a 201 ritual, a basic numerology ritual. You can't deny that 93 plus 108 is 201. I'm thinking this off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I did that math in my head correctly, but I know to look for 201, and you're going to see that. And it goes a lot deeper than just your scores or this or that. The players can have so many points, the numbers on the jerseys, the ages, the birthdays, all this stuff. And people make a lot of money off this stuff. I mean, I'm not I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying that it does happen. Once you know the script, people do use it. It's almost like they're taking advantage of people who bet because they know the script. So, I mean, I guess I can't really say that I agree with that necessarily, but it does happen. Anywho, I just thought that was kind of wild, and I would think to a sports fan, an average person, that would be kind of mind-blowing information of stuff that's very obvious and so forth. Just because I have years of experience on this stuff, I'm not surprised by any of it. I knew, like, when the Denver Nuggets played, I think it was when they played the Cavaliers, I told my buddy, who we follow the games together, I said, watch for 3-2-2. They're either going to hit 322 points, or they're going to go over it, probably. Like, they're going to hit 3-2-2, and they do, because their symbol is very similar to Skull and Bones, which is the Yale Secret Society, which is called the Order of 322. That's why you see that the Secret Society stuff. You got George Bush used to be there, then you got Bush's, connection to John F. Kennedy in 1963. You get your 666. Kennedy was the one who talked about how the weather can be modified and all that different stuff. He was a bloodline member, of course, but he came out and said more than he was supposed to say, and they had to get rid of him one way or another, whether he actually was, taken out or whatever. But he can no longer have his position on TV. He can no longer play his role. And then you see both Bushes become president. You got the connection to Aleister Crowley, who's a, pervert, we'll just say. I can't say the other P word, ends in file, but yeah, he's a Satanist pervert. And he's very likely the father of Barbara Bush, which is George Bush's dad, which is George Bush Jr.'s dad, which would be George Bush Sr.'s wife. So they are very likely related. So you have two presidents around the same time as the towers that went down in New York City. Wow, George Jr.'s reading a book about planes to children. And actually making them say words like plane, hit, building, stuff like that. It's very eerie to see that footage. I'm sure it's very hard to find that footage, but I have seen it. So obviously you get your connection there, where Aleister Crowley would be the grandfather of George Bush Jr., who's president 10 years after George Bush Sr. talks about the New World Order and how everything's going to become one. The rule of law will be, this and that and the other. All you got to do is look up George Bush Sr. New World Order 1991. 10 years to the day, his son's president, and then the towers go down. And since then, they've done the Patriot New York agenda. That's why it's always Tom Brady and the Patriots doing well. They were always doing well back when I was watching. The only team who really ever beat them was the New York Giants, the team where the Patriot, what led to the Patriot Act. You couldn't have, they could beat on the Jets all they wanted. That was a New York team. But the only team that they could play in the Super Bowl was the Giants. That would beat them. It was in 2007 and 2011, I do believe. Because by 2011, I was very deep into this stuff. And the Giants would just get into the playoffs and just barely get by. And then also you have your script where Tom Brady would always beat down on Peyton Manning, generally, who was on the Colts most of the time. Later, the Denver Broncos. He would beat down on him, and then the brother comes in and beats Tom Brady. Like, come on, dude. How much more scripted you gotta have this? It's a script on top of a script on top of a script on top of a script. Like, you have to understand all these different things. The more that it looks like a script, the more it is a script. Like, it should be pretty obvious. But, I think I've got a lot of stuff out there. I appreciate you guys for checking out the video. This is stuff off the top of my head. I don't even have to research any of this stuff. I know it to be true. I've done my research on it. I know other people have talked about this stuff for many years. It's just the same old, same old. So, nothing surprises me with numerology and all these different things and all the connections to all the other people that are always involved. Alright, guys. Thank you very much for watching. God bless. Have a good rest of the day. Enjoy yourselves. Love you. Bye.